travel experiences. I myself would use this word in many of my essays, so this is just an uncommon word, beautiful. I'm sure in your city or in your country, you have seen people as tourists that come to visit the place, to visit its landmarks, monuments, beautiful sculpture, scenery, and they are more focused on how they appear on the picture than the history of the place, the efforts put into the place, the cultural or I don't know, traditional values of the place. But it's more important for them that they, for instance, get this pose. Or for instance, if it's the Eiffel Tower, it appears on their hand and it's just the right moment. But very little, very few people actually try to get a little bit of history when the Eiffel Tower was created, how it was created, what's the background of that. You can talk about other elements like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. What about that? No, there are just some people who pretend that they are pushing the Leaning Tower up so that it stands in its rightful position, like straight up, vertically on the ground. Well, I'm sure you have seen that as well. That becomes a topic. How? Welcome to IELTS Juice. We are going to score, assess, and analyze an essay related to the topic. What does it say? More and more people nowadays visit well-known places to take photographs of themselves without looking at the place. So the place, the Leaning Tower of Pisa or the Eiffel Tower, they are just secondary. They're just backgrounds. They're not important. It's more important how many likes those individuals get on the photo or how they pose, and the distance between the object, and if there's enough light on their faces or not, if they appear too dark or too light, things like that. And they care very little about the history and the effort and the reason why they're there. Why do you think this is happening? That's the first question. And the second one, is it a positive or a negative trend? So let's move on from the story and focus on our task. It's an essay. More and more people, so it's a trend. This year is more than the previous year. The previous year's data is more than the year before that. So more and more, it's a trend. People nowadays, so it's a modern phenomenon, visit well-known places, so it should be a very famous place, and they take photos of themselves, so selfies or whatever, and then they do not look at the place. They don't care much about the place. Their attention is on themselves. So you can see the comparison here. IELTS is telling you that this is a fact. They care about themselves a lot more than the reason why they're there, the history, the culture, the tradition. I want you to acknowledge that we are not here to debate that. That's out of the question. IELTS doesn't want us to debate that. You are not going to say, no, that's not true. Actually, there are good people, there are archaeologists, there are people who are interested in history. I understand that. That's not the topic here. The topic here is, for fact, we know people who visit for example, Leaning Tower of Pisa care more about themselves than the history of the building, period. The sooner we understand that, the better we can analyze our task ahead. Then it's a two-part question. So there are two questions here. separated by a line, you can see, and that there's a reason for that. It's not about beauty. It's just it's an IELTS signal to us that for each question we need a proper response. That means at least one paragraph must be devoted to each question. At least one paragraph. You can devote 2 paragraphs. You know, if we have time, if we can manage it, better. If not, 1 paragraph is enough, but 1 paragraph for this and 1 paragraph for this. Can you merge the answer? Yes, but I don't recommend. I seriously do not recommend doing that. Merging these 2 questions and coming up with an answer based on that requires a lot of writing skills that we don't have. Honestly, we don't have that level of skills. So 1 paragraph each. The first one says, why do you think this is happening? You can come up with 1 reason only, and that's enough. If you want to say 2 reasons, fine. If you want to say 1 reason and then later break it down into 2 aspects and give 2 different supporting sentences and examples, fine. But IELTS doesn't ask you to write more than 1 reason. So if you say 1 reason is fine, 2 reasons, fine. 1 reason in 2 formats, fine. All these elements, even 3 reasons, fine if you have time and you can manage. The space, the time, the errors, very important. The second question, is it a positive or a negative trend? It's a yes-no question. Is it a positive or negative? You believe this is positive or you believe this is negative. Choose one, stick to it, and support it. If you believe it's a positive trend, good. It's a positive trend, talk about it. Do you believe it's a negative trend? Say it's negative, support it. I highly recommend not to stay in the middle, not to say balanced, not to say, yeah, it's somehow positive, but yeah, there's negative. Unless you really, really are going for a 9, which, well, is not that easy. In that case, you need to, if you believe it's negative, you need to say a little bit positive things and then bash them, denigrate them, move on to the negative side and support that. That's not the topic I'm going to cover here, so just be mindful of that. On that note, let's look at the candidate's response, which is going to be a fantastic sample for us. In recent years, the rise of social media and smartphone technology has significantly shifted how people experience travel. So we are talking about the rise of social media and smartphone technology. The rise has significantly shifted. Not these 2 elements. The rise of the combination of technology and social media. That's why you have a verb that matches this. More and more tourists now visit famous landmarks instead of well-known, not to immerse themselves in the history or culture, but rather, it's a good use of grammar, to take photographs of themselves at these sites. So it's fact. It's just a fact that IELTS says it, we just acknowledge it is a fact. The rise of social media has, to a large extent, contributed to this phenomenon, which, in my view, is a detriment to our modern culture. Detriment means negative. It's another word for that. It's a beautiful word. We're showing off our range of vocabulary. And in this thesis statement, we mentioned that the rise of social media is the reason. It's only one reason. And it's a negative trend. The following paragraphs are going to support us in that regard. The first body paragraph. Our primary reason for this behavior is the desire for social media validation. So we present, this is the topic sentence. Social media validation is the reason behind all this. Let's move on. In a world where platforms like Instagram and Facebook are ubiquitous, good word, it's a very good word to learn, and you also need to know how to spell it correctly. People often need to share their experiences online, obviously. The more impressive the location, the more likely they are to receive likes and comments, which can boost their self-esteem. Self-esteem is a good word again, and very, very well actually connected to our topic here. Additionally, the rise of the influencer, quote unquote, culture has made it fashionable to showcase a glamorous lifestyle. Lifestyle, all one word, very well written here. Glamorous is good. This is a good collocation. Showcase is a very nice verb. Fashionable, again, trendy, fashionable, it's related to modern era. Very, very good choice of word. Often characterized by frequent travel to exotic locations. For many, the photograph becomes more important than the experience of visiting the place, as it serves as a form of social currency. Social currency. I love the vocabulary here. The sentences are decent. The grammar is decently good, but I'm more impressed by the range of vocabulary here. Remember, we talked about the rise of social media. We focused on the social media platforms because, you know, how they are designed to receive likes and comments. And we said the influencers. So we basically looked at the rise of social media in two aspects, like this culture to write comments and to just like and look at each other's lives. And at the same time, we have a role called influencers, and these people have a lot of followers and, you know, they post their glamorous lifestyle on the internet. Moving on to the next body paragraph. So this one, as I know, and my knowledge comes from the introduction, and in the introduction, we said that the reason is the rise of social media and it's a negative trend. This paragraph is going to talk about the negative trend, why we believe it's negative. We're going to support our opinion that says it is a detriment to our beliefs. While this trend may seem harmless on the surface, it has several negative implications. Please learn these collocations, negative implications. It's a beautiful collocation. If you're going to learn words together. That's the best way to memorize, to learn, to understand, and to use new words in your essays, letters, reports. Firstly, it diminishes the cultural and educational value of travel. This is the first reason. When tourists prioritize photography over genuine engagement, they miss out on the opportunity to learn about the history, architecture, and significance of the place they visit. Look at the layers: history, architecture, significance of the place in general. It might be just a gorgeous looking mountain like Fujisan in Japan, or in Nepal. You can talk about the magnificence of Mount Everest. You see, that's not culture, that's not history, but it's significant nonetheless. So these words look at different monuments from different perspectives, and it pretty much covers all the aspects of these beautiful landmarks or monuments or significant places. This superficial approach can lead to a lack of appreciation for different cultures and contribute to the commodification of travel experiences. I myself would have used this word in many of my essays, so this is just an uncommon word. Beautiful commodification. It's to look at things as a commodity, and it has a negative connotation to it. If you don't know what connotation is, I'm going to include a lesson about connotation in the description below. If you're interested in expanding your knowledge about vocabulary, do check that out. Furthermore, the constant pursuit of the perfect photo can create congestion at popular sites. A very easy support for why I believe it's a negative trend. It makes the touristic places unusable for many other people, making it difficult for others to enjoy the location. This not only detracts from the overall experience, but can also cause significant damage to the sites themselves due to overcrowding. A problem that needs urgent attention, correctly punctuated, by the way. It was which is a problem that need, and we deleted which is. So this comes as a symbol that there were words here. We're not writing them. We put a comma, and people will understand that. Okay, yes. You need to pause a bit. Remember that there were words, but they're not written here, and then you continue. Advanced control over grammar. In conclusion, the trend of visiting famous places solely for the purpose of taking photographs is driven by the desire for social media validation. We are repeating and paraphrasing the reason we said is behind this negative trend. However, this behavior is largely negative as it undermines the true value of travel and can have detrimental effects on cultural sites. While photography is an important part of modern travel, it should not replace the meaningful experiences and learning that come from truly engaging with the world around us. It's crucial to strike a balance between capturing moments and living them to ensure a fulfilling travel experience. The final two sentences are generic, and I believe even without them, the conclusion was quite well written. But these sentences are just other opportunities for us to show off our grammar, our vocabulary. Again, something that would help us come up with a better conclusion. I believe it's not necessary. 382 words. That's quite a lot, but this was a fascinating essay to read. It's time to check the band descriptors. Well, I'm not surprised that the vocabulary range is 9. I am not at all surprised. As you saw, the range for vocabulary was much higher, much wider than grammar. I basically didn't see any errors. Some items were used skillfully, could be used better to make a natural sounding word, to replace them with a better variation. Even 1 or 2 words like that, yes. Grammar, the only thing I can point my finger at right now is just the range, that's all. As for coherence and cohesion, again, all thing is good. The conclusion was just, it had some redundant sentences, that's all. It's not just 9. That's as easy as it is. And for task response, we thoroughly, sufficiently addressed all parts of the task. We didn't get 9 because I told you, we just focused on supporting the negative aspect of it. If we really wanted a 9, we needed to touch a little bit the positive side and show how weak the positive aspects are, and then add that to our agenda and still say that, look, this is negative. We believe it is negative. Even if you look at the positives pale in comparison with the negative aspects of this. 7.5, but if even this 7.5 is not the ideal score for you, don't worry, you're in good hands because we have improved this. The link is in the description. You will be directed to the IELTS Juice website where you have access to 2 samples. This one with the video and more information about the assessment, and the improved version down below that. Please study well, use the words, collocations. If you're interested in connotation, again, the link is in the description. If you wish to see other videos like this, you know where to click. And I hope next time I'll be assessing your task 1s or task 2s later. Take care.